Dinner time was becoming one's least favorite part of the day, mostly because John Jungkook treated conversation like a limited edition product that nobody was allowed to have. One was already sitting at the dining table when Jungkook finally walked out of his room. For a moment, she looked relieved, finally a human interaction. Then she remembered she was only wearing thick, oversized shorts. Nothing else, she instantly stood up. I will be right back. Sit. The single word stopped her and slowly looked at him. Jungkook calmly pulled out his chair and sat down. Your legs should be covered, he said without looking at her, whether by clothes or by table. I'm not seeing anything. The nerve of this man, Ryan almost shocked. Who even says things like that in 26? But after one look at his expressionless face, she decided arguing with the Mafia boss during dinner wasn't the smartest survival strategy. So she sat back down dramatically. A few minutes later, Frick placed a bowl of ramen in front of her. Nuna. One blinked. Nuna? Frick ignored her and continued serving food. One narrowed her eyes. Absolutely not. She immediately followed him into the kitchen. Did you just call me Nuna? Frick turned around. It means sister. The silence was deadly. Sister? One repeated slowly. Frick, yes. Why, nobody in the history of mankind has looked at me and thought sister. Frick laughed unfortunately for him that made her even more offended. You have a girlfriend, fine, she complained, but this is disrespectful. Frick nearly dropped the lead. Disrespectful? I am protecting my relationship by calling Korea's hottest actress your sister. Now Frick was fully entertained. He leaned closer and lowered his voice. Okay, real reason. Van crossed her arms. What? She glanced toward the dining room, then whispered, that psychopath is jealous. Her eyes immediately shifted toward Jungkook, then back to Frick, then back to Jungkook. The possibility alone made her suspiciously happy. And we are allowed to call him that? Frick, only quietly, Frick whispered. If he hears us, he will cook both of us with the ramen. Van almost laughed. Unfortunately, Jungkook was interrupted from the dining room. What are you two talking about? One immediately leaned sideways so he could see her face. Her brightest actress smile appeared instantly. Oh, nothing. I was asking Frick to teach me cooking. Jungkook stared, then he stood up, picked up his bowl, and walked back toward his room. One watched him disappear. One groaned loudly. This man is impossible. Frick, you are trying to make him jealous, aren't you? Of course. Why? Because he's the only man in Korea who doesn't pay attention to me. Frick looked genuinely concerned. He actually kidnapped you for your own safety. Why? That doesn't count. Frick. It absolutely does. So I'll ignore him. Anyway, tell your boss to hurry up and eliminate his enemies. Why? I miss civilization. That evening her suffering continued, not because of danger, not because of kidnappers, not because of Jungkook, because of water. King Wan had spent years protecting her appearance with luxury products worth more than most people rent. Expensive shampoo, expensive conditioner, expensive hair treatments, expensive everything. Meanwhile, this cabin offered wanting canal water, the horror. After washing her hair, Wan decided enough was enough and secretly used a large amount of filtered drinking water instead. A terrible decision because 10 minutes later, Frick walked into the kitchen, looked at the water container, looked again, then nearly suffered a heart attack. Why is half the water gone? At that exact moment, one casually walked out of her room, drying her freshly washed blonde hair, and Frick immediately knew the criminal was standing right in front of him. Why did you use the filter water? One looked up innocently, towel wrapped around her shoulders while her freshly washed blonde hair shimmered. Yeah, I washed my hair. Silence. Frick blinked twice. You did what? I washed my hair, Wine repeated slowly. Didn't you notice my hair was losing its shine? Frick looked seconds away from collapsing. Are you insane? His shout echoed through the cabin. A moment later, Jungkook's bedroom door opened. The mafia boss stepped out wearing a black sweatshirt and dark joggers. tattooed for harms visible as if frowned. What happened? Frick pointed dramatically at Van. She used the filtered drinking water to wash her hair. Van immediately pointed back. And it's your fault. My fault? Yes, because the shampoo you bought is terrible. Frick looked personally attacked. You literally the ambassador of that brand. So you promote it. For money, Van replied proudly. Do you think the celebrities actually use everything they advertise? Frick looked horrified. What kind of business is that? A profitable one? Before the argument could continue, enough. The room silently fell silent. Jungkook's voice wasn't loud. His dark eyes settled on Van. This isn't your penthouse, and we are not your assistants. The room became quiet. Frick spent hours finding products he thought you would need. Nobody does that for most people. Van opened her mouth, but the water you used was for drinking and cooking. His expression remained cool. If your hair becomes rough, we don't care. Van looked offended. Excuse me? But wasting our drinking water, Jungkook continued calmly. That becomes everyone's problem. For once, Van had absolutely nothing to say. Jungkook folded his arms. Do you understand? After a long pause, yes. Satisfied, Jungkook turned away and walked back toward his room. She looked genuinely guilty now. I'm sorry, I won't use the filter water again. Frick nodded, then casually added, enjoy showering with canal water. Van blinked. What? The same canal where cows stand pause, sometimes buffaloes do, longer pause, and occasionally they poop there. Van so laughed her body. You mean I bathe in a cow toilet water? Frick burst out laughing and escaped into the kitchen before she could throw something at him. Kang Wan stood frozen in the middle of the cabin, staring at her beautiful blonde hair with pure horror. For the first time in her superstar life, she genuinely missed her penthouse. To be continued.